Welcome back to the Honda Basement Studio. I'm your host, Triple B, and I'm going to be doing the review of the new Magik book 1 through 3 right now because this story is freaking amazing, dude. So, we're going to get introduced to Magik again and give you a little bit of her past, how she was kidnapped by the demon Belisco when she was a child and had to grow up in limbo, and he planted some seed in her, some demon that would slowly grow. But as she was able to break free from limbo and become a new mutant and then eventually becoming an X-Men, there was a Darkchild entity always waiting for her. And now, as the Krakoa era is finished, she is with her fellow X-Men, and it is her birthday, but she does not want to be there. And she looks up on this TV screen, and there's these new mutants that are popping up, but they are getting taken. And so, as she opens up a portal to get away from her birthday party, she heads out to go and try to save one of them. And at the very beginning of this issue, you see a teenage mutant getting dragged away. And now we are at that funeral of that teenage mutant, but they cannot find the body. And there's protest people outside the funeral home yelling about mutants. And inside, we get introduced to a character named Ren, and she's also a mutant. And she says, "Everybody hates me." And then outside you hear another one has showed up, and Magik walks through her portal right in front of all the protesters. And one of them walks up to her and says, "You better get out of town if you know what's good for you." And she thinks to herself, "The magic that I learned in limbo begs me to unleash, but I know how they see me." And now Magik puts her finger on his forehead and says, "You might want to back up," as she walks past him. Another person says, "Oh my God, she touched you. You're marked. You saw her teleport here. You're going to be the next to disappear in the woods." And another person screams, "We must get this demon before she gets us." And Magik looks up and says, "I'm no demon." And then she says, "But they are." And all of a sudden, all these demons show up around the protesters. And she says, "Well, should I get lost now or should I save you?" And as she summons her soul sword, which is a physical manifestation of her soul, cutting through all the magic. And as she is slicing and dicing through demons, she throws one of her stepping discs that will teleport the protesters to safety. And she knows that they are scared of them, but there is a midway point where they're going to get a glimpse of limbo. And now, as the family dispersed from the funeral home, you got Ren and her friend Cal trying to get away, but a demon jumps and grabs Ren. As a portal opens up, you hear someone say, "They're trying to take mutants." And Magik now looks at them and says, "Well, if they want a mutant, well, you can have me." As she lures at him with her soul sword and stabs them, and they fall in through the portal, and they land on a sealed magical platform where Magik has her arm around Ren and says, "Don't worry, I ain't gonna let anything happen to you." And she looks up and she sees a boy on the magical platform, and she says, "Are him." And as Magik walks over to the little boy, she says, "I am here to help you." And he says, "Really? You are?" And as he transforms himself into a demon, yielding a gun, and he says, "All I need is one more mutant to break the seal." And what great work would it be with a challenge for my final mutant? And then Magik says, "Oh, you want a challenge? Well, I will oblige." And as he pulls out his gun, he shoots Magik and it hits her and she falls down to the ground. And right then and there, Cal and his grandma walk through the portal, and she says, "Oh my God, this cannot be. When I saw her in town, I was thinking the worst, and now she is here at this grave." And then she says, "We need to strengthen the seal before it falls. Any more energy sacrifices, and the Laminal is free." And Cal looks at her and says, "Laminal? Seals? You're speaking nonsense, Grandma. If the girl is here, that means the prophecies are colliding. Neither can be fulfilled. Centuries ago, our ancestors placed 5 seals to trap the entity known as the Laminal. If all 5 seals break, his chaos will be released into this world. And now Colin says, wait, hold up, this is insane. As Grandma puts up some sorcery spells and yells, Colin, get to the seal now. And now the demon walks up to Ren and grabs her head and starts squeezing it. And he crushes it. And Ren now dies. And then now you see Magik right there with the Darkchild appearing behind her and says, oh, poor little Illyana, how many more people are you going to let get killed? And now as the Darkchild takes over Magik, she lures at the demon as he fires a shot from his gun, but she blocks it and she yells, die! And now Grandma says, we need the physical to bind it. We need the veneer in my bag. And he says, bind it? It just killed Ren. We need to run. She says, Cal, grab the green plant in the front pocket. The beast has collected enough energy. These ward will be the only thing that can stop the seal from falling. I do not know if the other 4 have already been destroyed. Our family was charged with protecting the seal. That duty was to pass on to you when you come of age. Once you could be trained in our sorcery ways to be entered with prevention the apocalypse that plagues our world. It is not fair to you, Cal. I thought I had more time to explain, to give you a childhood. I do not know what will happen today, but remember this. Be very wary of this woman. And he says, but she is helping us. And Grandma looks at him and says, you cannot trust the Darkchild. And now Magik and the Darkchild are fighting the gun-slinging demon. She says, I will make you suffer. I will make you pay. Both of us will. And Grandma yells out, you have magic, don't you, girl? Stop swinging your sword like a brute and use your head. And the Darkchild says, why did you stop? What are you doing? And Magik says, she is right. You always make me lose control, but not anymore. I'm taking control this time. And if he wields magic, well, I will do the same. And now as the demon breaks from the spell that Magik puts on him, he says that he's tired of this. But Magik lures at him with her soul sword and says it's time to neutralize the threat and cuts off his arm, and the gun goes falling to the ground. But the demon says that he has enough of it, and one last attempt, one more trick up his sleeve. He grabs that gun and fires it right at Grandma, and it kills her. And now the seal is broken. And he says the first seal is broken and there's only 4 more to go, and the Laminal can cause chaos over this world. As the portal is closing and Magik grabs Cal and they jump through it, as it closes, she turns back around and she cannot get back in there. And now Magik puts her hands around the seal and says, as long as I focus, I can keep the magic contained, but it's a weight on my shoulders, and soon my strength will falter. I need to find the entity behind this before any more seals are destroyed. This barrier will not last indefinitely. And then you hear the Darkchild say, everything's out of balance. 2 are dead. But isn't this your default state? Stop fighting and accept it. And now Cal is grieving over the death of his grandma and his family and Ren. And all he has left is this journal from his grandma that he needs to decipher. So Magik and him are going to have to figure out what is going on and how to stop this entity that hates Cal's family for generations, and how they can stop any of the seals from getting broken. And then we get to see the very last page where it says the Darkchild is unleashed, and the Laminal wants to know more about this entity, the Darkchild. The end of issue number 1. Man, what a great issue of Magik #1 right here, dude. It really gets on a good story. It's telling us where it's going to go. There's this entity, maybe he's in limbo. He is trying to take over the world. They have these 5 families that were made seals so that he cannot get out. But if he breaks all the seals, if he collects enough mutant souls on each seal, he can break the seal. And in this first issue, the seal got broken, but now we got Magik and a Darkchild on his tail, kind of knowing what his plot is. Man, what a great story. Again, this thing was written by, let me take a look at it, Ashley Allen, with the art by German Peralta right there, man. And of course, we got the J. Anacoletto cover right there. Issue #1. Freaking rad. I'm going to give that thing a solid 8 out of 10, man. It might even go higher, man, because I already read the next couple issues, man, and this story gets freaking badass. So, if you like the way that I do comic book reviews, go ahead and stab that like button and subscribe to the channel, because issue 2 is going to be coming out next week, man. Oh yeah, rocking out Magik, dude. Rocking out some crazy reviews in a haunted basement studio. Man, thank you all for joining me, and I want you guys to remember one thing. You keep it haunted. Comics. Laters.